You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight every battle to win the war, and you don't need to force people to respect you. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence and trust the process, respect follows you naturally. Let your silence speak, let your presence teach, and let the bigger picture handle what your words never could. The concept of surrender is often misunderstood. In many minds, surrender is equated with giving up, being passive, or accepting defeat. But in truth, surrender is not the absence of strength. It is the redirection of energy away from control and toward clarity. In high-stakes situations, in relationships, in leadership roles, and even in public speaking, those who learn to release control often gain a type of power that those who cling to control never experience. When you try to control every outcome, micromanage every detail, and preempt every threat, your energy gets consumed by anxiety. You become reactive instead of responsive. This leads to desperation in your voice, tension in your body language, and overcompensation in how you communicate. And people pick up on this, even subconsciously. You may be saying all the right things, but if they're coming from a place of fear or force, respect is diminished. Respect isn't just about what you say. It's about what you radiate. People respond to your presence before they respond to your words, and presence is a byproduct of peace. Peace, in turn, is born from surrender, not the kind of surrender that means I've lost, but the kind that means I'm no longer wasting my energy on what's beyond me. In practical terms, surrender means that you stop trying to manipulate how people perceive you. You stop trying to win every argument. You stop feeling the need to be understood by everyone, and instead, you start trusting that the right people will see you clearly in time, even if they don't immediately. You trust that whatever is meant for you will find its way to you, even if the timeline looks uncertain. Now, this doesn't mean you become passive or silent. It means your actions and your speech come from a deeper place of alignment. You start speaking not because you feel panicked, but because you feel centered. You start responding not out of impulse, but out of wisdom, and people respect this more than anything. Let's break it down even further. In an argument, surrender might look like choosing not to engage emotionally. You don't escalate. You don't match chaos with chaos. You allow the other person to reveal their character while you remain still. This shows maturity and strength. In leadership, surrender might mean delegating and trusting others. You don't need to control every moving part. You set the vision, empower the right people, and release the outcome. People admire and respect leaders who trust their teams. In communication, surrender means you don't oversell yourself. You state your truth and let it land where it may. You allow silence to be part of your message. You understand that presence can speak louder than explanation. There's a deeper principle here. People are drawn to those who seem like they don't need anything from them. It's counterintuitive, but true. The moment you release the need to be validated or accepted, your communication becomes cleaner, more authentic, more magnetic. People listen more intently to someone who doesn't sound like they're trying to convince anyone of anything. That's the paradox. Letting go of the need to be respected is the first step toward being deeply respected. This is what we mean by strategic surrender. It is not the lack of direction. It is the presence of deep trust. Trust in the process, trust in timing, trust in yourself. Many people fail to gain respect not because they lack talent or insight, but because their desire to be respected overrides their internal calm. It shows up in the way they talk over others, how they repeat themselves, how they get defensive, or how they chase approval. Every time you chase approval, you lose authority. Every time you force your point, you dilute its power. In contrast, when you speak from surrender, your voice carries something different. It's not louder, but it's clearer. It's not forceful, but it's firm. It says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it. You're welcome to understand me, but I'm not begging for it. That energy is rare and powerful, and that's the essence of this keynote. True strength doesn't come from forcing outcomes. It comes from knowing when to act, when to speak, and when to simply let go and trust the unfolding. When you live that way, you not only gain internal peace, you gain the respect of others without ever having to demand it. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a video script, podcast transcript, or visual guide. People often mistake respect for attention, but attention is cheap. Anyone can get it with noise, shock, or conflict. Respect, however, is earned through consistency, character, and restraint. Silent strength is the kind of power that doesn't shout or demand the spotlight. It is calm, composed, and deliberate, and it earns deeper trust and admiration over time than loudness ever could. When someone walks into a room without needing to dominate it, but still shifts the energy, that's silent strength. When a person listens more than they speak, but when they do speak, it's with clarity and confidence, that's silent strength. It's not submission and it's not passivity. It's knowing you have power but not needing to prove it every second. The most respected people in the world often have a quiet demeanor. They observe first. They speak last. They respond instead of react. They don't waste energy trying to impress everyone. And because they're selective in their words, their speech carries weight. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's presence. It creates space. Space that demands others to listen when they finally speak. In contrast, those who constantly feel the need to assert themselves often project insecurity. The louder someone needs to speak to be noticed, the more you can sense their inner tension. If your communication is driven by a need to dominate, defend, or distract, people might hear you, but they won't necessarily respect you. Silent strength also includes the discipline of emotional control. The ability to remain calm in the face of provocation is one of the most commanding forms of respect. When others are yelling and reacting, and you're still composed, people instinctively look to you as the leader in the room. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you master them. You process them wisely instead of letting them leak into every conversation. This kind of self-control isn't just about personality. It's a trained skill. It comes from emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and the ability to delay your reaction until you fully understand the situation. The moment you respond too quickly, emotionally, or impulsively, you risk giving away your power. But if you pause, breathe, and speak with measured thought, your words gain credibility and gravity. There is also immense power in non-verbal communication. People often forget that respect isn't only earned through what you say, it's conveyed through body language, eye contact, posture, and tone. Silent strength is communicated through presence, standing tall, holding steady eye contact, and maintaining a calm facial expression sends a message. I'm grounded. I'm not easily shaken. I'm in control of myself. The moment you demonstrate this kind of centered presence, people automatically recalibrate how they interact with you. They lower their tone. They become more mindful. They begin to mirror your emotional rhythm instead of dragging you into theirs. This is how silent strength sets the tone of a room without saying a word. Another key aspect of silent strength is not reacting to disrespect with more disrespect. When someone undermines you, challenges you, or even tries to humiliate you, it's tempting to fight fire with fire. But those with true strength know that not every insult deserves a reaction. When you respond with grace or even silence, it doesn't show weakness. It shows security. It shows that you're not governed by other people's chaos. People deeply respect those who don't need to retaliate to feel powerful. They respect those who can let insults pass because they know their worth isn't dependent on someone else's opinion. Silent strength refuses to be baited. It chooses dignity over drama, and in doing so, it flips the power dynamic in any interaction. Also, silence allows room for observation and strategy. When you're not constantly speaking or trying to prove your intelligence, you gain access to insights others miss. You notice body language, hesitation, contradiction, and motives. This gives you the upper hand, not to manipulate, but to respond wisely. In negotiation, leadership, and conflict resolution, those who listen more hold the advantage. Respect is not given to those who talk the most. It's given to those who speak with purpose. Silent strength teaches you to conserve your words until they matter, and when they do, people will listen, because you've taught them that your voice is not noise, it's signal. Ultimately, silent strength builds a reputation over time. People begin to associate your presence with wisdom, reliability, and control. They trust you in crisis. They listen when you speak, and they remember how you made them feel, not pressured, not dominated, but safe, grounded, and respected.